I understand it, the government could have introduced something like this simply through legislation, simply through passing it through Parliament, but they've chosen to put it in the Constitution for whatever reason. What are the pitfalls of going that extra step, of locking it into our founding principles?
Well, the problem that comes from putting it in the Constitution is, from the perspective of someone who supports the idea, it makes it harder to achieve. From the perspective of someone who's really cautious about the harm this could do, once it's in, it's really inflexible. You can't change or adapt in the way that you might have if it was set up by legislation. And so the expert panel that was appointed by the coalition government to consider this issue suggested as one of the ways forward a legislative option, so that as we sort of iron out what works and what doesn't, or even as we come to understand the dangers of dividing people by race, it's something that's easily adjusted. You don't get that if it's in the Constitution. The very fact that Albanese has jumped straight to that constitutional mechanism, though, speaks to the fact that this government seems to be all about political gestures, all about feelings, but it's not about substance, and it's not about the practical ways that we can improve the lives of the most disadvantaged people in our communities. It also invites a whole lot of problems. You know, we've already heard from the migrant community, well, where's our voice? The LGBTI community might well say, we want a voice too. Women generally might say, where's our voice? People with a disability. I mean, where does this stop? The far better principle on which to grow Australian society's strength is to focus on what unites us from the inside, the characteristics that make us all good human contributors, rather than the colour of our skin or the colour of our hair or any other randomly selected genetic attribute.
So look, Albanese's approach seems to be, okay, look, you know, just give us a in principle yes or no and we'll fill in the details. My sense is that's just not going to work. I mean, the electorate is actually a whole lot smarter than that. Australians are not going to give him a blank cheque, surely.
Look, I hope that's right. But the thing that Australians should keep in mind is that as he asks for that general principle authority, he's actually giving a bucket load of scope to a future High Court to interpret whatever they think those words of generality mean. That could very well mean you've got a High Court that can strike down laws on the basis of insufficiently considering the views of a voice, for instance. You invite judicial activism when you put in very general words to the Constitution and say, well, we've got a principle, we'll let the details get worked out by the court later. That's enormously dangerous, and it's unaccountable. You can't hold anyone accountable for what judges do. Far better that it be in the hands of politicians who every couple of years you can tell them precisely what you think.